Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan from the Rocks and Stocks News website. I've got a special report for you today. I'm going to be doing one of my news release type shows. There's been a bunch of companies that had news out in early September, and I wanted to talk about that news because I see some exceptional stuff that's lining up for these companies. I see a lot of companies these days, the juniors, that are very undervalued relative to what they're finding and developing. And I think that that's creating a great opportunity, especially because when I can find a lot of junior mining companies that are undervalued, it's usually a time when the market starts to turn around. And I'm seeing some tremendous valuation opportunities when I kind of look at the potential relative to their valuations. I can see a lot of companies that are ridiculously underpriced right now. I'm going to start out with a company that I have recently done some interviews with, which is I80 Gold. I80 Gold has they have a tremendous situation developing on their project near Eureka County, Nevada, the city of Eureka. They've been drilling their Ruby Deeps project, and at Ruby Deeps, they hit thick intersections of high-grade gold. And then they've started to drill along strike of that and sort of closer to their pit. And right at the bottom of the pit, they have their 426 zone. Again, thick intersections of high grade. Then it extends deeper where they found the Ruby Deeps deposit, which is very high grade and over thick intersections. That's to the west side of the pit. To the south side of the pit, they just announced some impressive drill results. One of the headline holes is 671 grams of silver with 7.7 grams or 7.7% zinc and 26% lead over 0.9 meters. They had a 238 gram silver hit with 11% zinc, 9% lead over 9.4 meters. Another 469 grams of silver, over 11.8% zinc, and 18.2% lead over 2.1 meters. They had 1,000-gram hit with 10% zinc, 27.7% lead, and 1.6% copper over 0.9 meters. That was in their lower horizon. In their upper horizon, they hit 515 grams of silver, 28.9% lead, 10.5% zinc, 0.9 grams of gold over 28.3 meters. They're also in their so what this is in a CRD deposit. These carbonate replacement deposits can get very large. One of the big winners over the last few years was Arizona Mining. They found a CRD deposit that ended up getting them bought out and was a tremendous winner for the early investors. And I was fortunate enough to cover that from the early opportunities. John Kaiser and I did some interviews together, and we talked extensively about Arizona Mining before they made the big discovery. So it was a tremendous success. And I think that I80 is on the verge of making another one of these big CRD deposit discoveries. What makes them kind of unique is that I describe it kind of like an apartment building. They've got floors, they've got an elevator, they got more floors, elevator, more floors. These floors can extend for very long distances, and they're sitting on a new discovery in Nevada, really close to the town of Eureka. This Ruby Hill project is quite tremendous. Not only is it kicking out high-grade gold at the west side of the pit, at the south side of the pit, they're hitting high-grade lead, zinc, silver, and even some sniffs of copper. And it's in a rock package that extends for over 2 kilometers if you go to the northern extension and all the way to the claim boundary. And there's a network of faulting. And so what you need in one of these CRD deposits is you need a vent, you need a break in the rocks that allows those fluids to then make their way up into this permeable rock. And of course, you need mineralization, which they've got. So now you start waving your arms. They've got 2 kilometers of strike of the right kind of rock, lots of width to this rock. You've got the plumbing system to allow the fluids to get up there. I think this Ruby Hill project is quite tremendous. And yet IAU on the venture exchange, or sorry, on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and IAU on the New York Stock Exchange is quite undervalued. I can see a runway for this company based on their current assets to be, a 250 to 500,000 ounce producer, number 2 or 3 in the state of Nevada in the coming years. And companies like that have multi-billion-dollar valuations. This company's sitting at a $500 million valuation, and I can find you exploration companies out there that don't have nearly what these guys do with similar valuations, sometimes even more. IAU is a rock-solid investment to me. I'm super happy that they're a sponsor of my website because I think that over the next few years, I'm going to be able to interview them a lot. I've already interviewed them a lot. You can do your homework on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News because I've talked extensively to Ewan Downey, and he's the CEO of the company. And I think you're going to see a lot of great things out of this company. And I think they're going to grow into a 10-bagger or more when they start further executing on all the great assets that they have. So do your homework on IAU, I80 Gold. There's a company that's right beside them that just came out with a CRD discovery of their own. They hit the headline hole is 12.5 meters of 22% zinc. They had another hole with that hole had included in it 44 meters of 6.3% zinc. Just kind of off the charts kind of numbers. 5 meters, 22% zinc, 1.5% lead, 155 grams of silver, and a gram of gold. 8 meters of 6.3% zinc, 3.7% lead, 230 grams of gold, and 2 grams of 230 grams of silver and 2 grams of gold. This is a carbonate replacement deposit as well. What makes it really interesting is that they have about I think it's a kilometer of that same kind of rock as what their neighbor I80 found, and then it expands out east to west as well. So they've got the right kind of permeable rock that can host a big CRD system. There's a fault called Jackson Fault that goes, and other faults that go right from Paycore's ground all the way up into IAU's with a network of secondary faulting off of it. And they've got the high-grade mineralization. So these 2 carbonate replacement deposit discoveries could be associated with each other because they share the same kind of plumbing system, the cracks in the earth that allow the fluids to make their way up into that permeable rock. They definitely share that package of permeable rock that goes all the way from IAU's ground into Paycore's ground. I think both of these companies are on tremendous discoveries of CRDs. And as I said earlier, these CRDs can get very big and very expensive and be attractive as buyouts. We saw it with Arizona Mining. What makes Paycore unique is that they've also got Jim Gowans on their team. Jim was part of the team of Arizona Mining. He's a metallurgist. He understands these CRD deposits and how to, how to get the minerals, the metals out of that rock. And I did an interview with him just a couple of days ago. Him and Christina McCarthy, who's the CEO of the company, and they're both very excited, as they should be, about this new discovery that also sits right beside a high-grade gold system. And so that's why CRDs usually don't have a lot of gold in them, but they've got 1 gram, 2 grams of gold. And that's because they are likely so close to a Carlin's type gold system that you're getting an overprint of the gold into the CRD. This is a tremendous situation for both I80 and Paycore. CORE is their symbol. You can go to my YouTube channel at YouTube, Rocks and Stocks News at YouTube, and you can find that interview I just did with Jim Gowans and Christina McCarthy. And I think you'll find a lot of interesting stuff. Both of these companies have very reasonable valuations relative to what they're finding, and I think that they're going to have news flow that keeps delivering and unlocks shareholder value. Again, this is another one that I think just has a tremendously cheap valuation, like I80, especially when you consider that, Arizona Mining got bought out for in the billions, and Core has I think it's less than a $50 million valuation. So take a look at Core, Paycore Minerals, paycoreinc.com is their website, and I think you'll like what you see. Sokoman Minerals is another sponsor of my website that just had tremendous news out. They hit 39 meters of 12.5 grams of gold and 10.25 meters of 41 grams of gold. This is a tremendously thick intersection of high-grade gold in an orogenic gold system that I've said for a long time that I think if they figure out this system, they're going to have no problem finding a lot of high-grade gold. It has the hallmarks of Fosterville type discovery of the Swan Zone at Fosterville. And these recent results are kind of like their first jewelry box discovery of extreme high grade over thick intersections. And what I think it could be is one of two things. Either they've got their Eastern trend hit a bunch of gold of high grade, but it was over thin intersections. Now they step down and they hit this thick intersection. So it could be a couple of things. It could be a dilation zone inside of an orogenic vein. And that's what you want in these orogenic veins. Or they might have cut sort of down a long strike of a new mineralizing system. And maybe you're catching it like this and the vein is like this. That means that you've now got another vein coming up there with high-grade gold in it. Whichever situation it is, this is tremendously exciting because it's showing that this has the realistic potential of being like the Swan Zone at the Fosterville mine. And I think that's exactly what they're finding here is that they're now proving they've hit high-grade gold before, usually over smaller intersections. To now hit this bonanza grade over thick intersections, they got a couple situations that could be developing there, and we're doing the work to understand the system. It's got complex faulting in the system, and that's exactly what you want in these Fosterville type deposits. Because what happens is you've got a crack in the earth and then secondary faulting off of that crack. The main crack is your Valentine Lake corridor, and then you've got all this secondary faulting. That secondary faulting helps open up the ground for the high-grade fluids to make their way up, and then you're looking for these jewelry box deposits inside of that kind of a system. These are all the hallmarks of what led from the Fosterville near surface mining down to that deep, extreme high grade. And I think they're onto something tremendous here. They have a very modest valuation compared to what they're looking for. Super happy to have them on as a sponsor because it will allow me to do lots of interviews with them. And I've done lots of interviews with them. You can, again, go to my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News. Find those interviews with Tim Froud. He's a great guy, real smart geologist. SIC is their stock symbol on the Venture Exchange. They also trade on the OTCQB market under SICNF for our viewers in the States. And again, I like a lot of what they found in this latest news release that was out on September the 6th. And I think that that's going to lead them to a lot more of this tremendous high-grade gold. And stay tuned for more, because they've also got this lithium project that's a hard rock deposit in pegmatites. And they've got massive, it's failing me at the moment, my brain, but they've got the right kind of pegmatites. And inside of that pegmatites, they've got massive spodumene. That's what they've, from their early drilling where they hit some extreme high grade, or some high grade, that's what they found it in. And now they're hitting it on more holes. And I think there's big open potential for it to get much larger. At any time now in the next couple of weeks, they should have the results out from their drilling into the lithium project. So they've got a couple of great things on the go. High-grade gold at their Moosehead project, pegmatite discovery of lithium at their lithium project. They've got other projects as well. These guys are serious explorationists, and I think they're going to deliver some really eye-opening results in their lithium project. You know, a lot of the leading source of lithium is in these hard rock pegmatites in Australia, and that's in old rock. That's exactly what the Newfoundland is made up of. And I think they're onto something special at both their Moosehead project and their lithium project. So stay tuned for more drilling results, and more interviews with me and Tim Froud. Okay, so now I want to, those are sponsors of my website. I appreciate their work tremendously, and they've had some great news. And another sponsor of my website that recently had news out was Golden Lake Exploration. This is a tiny sub $10 million valuation company. Their stock symbol is GLM on the Canadian Stock Exchange. They also trade in the OTC under GOLXF. Their project is a long strike. So you've got I80 here. Then you've got Paycore that I talked about earlier. Then right below them, you've got Golden Lake Minerals. And they just announced results, gold hits, on a project where they previously had hit 26 meters of 5.38 grams per ton gold. So they know this project has high gold potential. And there's other reasons to think that as well. historically, there's been a tremendous amount of historical mining on this project. And those old-time miners, they didn't go in there for the fun of it. It was hard work. They were using rudimentary technology. Now things have moved along quite significantly. In their highest grade intercept, they hit 3.31 grams per ton gold, 209 grams of silver, 1.55% lead. They got some sniffs of zinc over a core width of 3.96 grams. Why I find this very interesting is this is in their CRD target. And you hear the theme here. They're right beside that big fault that goes from Kimberline, which I'm going to talk about later, beside Golden Lake Minerals, Golden Lake Exploration. Then it goes through Paycore's ground and through I80. So they've got the right kind of rocks here. They've got the right kind of plumbing system. They're getting sniffs of all the right stuff. And I think that these guys are onto something serious as well. And it's going to take some more exploration. But I think that these guys, once they figure out the various different systems, because they've got CRDs, they've also got Carlin type project where they're getting sniffs of gold and silver. Again, you got to figure these systems out. They're not always easy to figure out. If they were easy to figure out, everybody would have a gold and silver mine and with some lead and zinc in it as well. But at their goal, the best result out of their Carlin Hamburg was 6 meters of 4.35 grams of gold. Included was 3.8 meters of 6.58 grams of gold. So they got some interesting stuff at Golden Lake Minerals, and the stock sold off after they put these results out, which surprises me because right to the immediate north of them and the immediate north of that company is Paycore and then I80 Gold. So I think they're in the right address. I think they've got some good stuff that is being underappreciated, and I'm very optimistic about GLM's future. And especially because they're in such a good address near these other CRD discoveries, and they've got a sub $10 million valuation. They are a sponsor of my website as well. I'm very thankful for that. I've got 4 sponsors in this Eureka trend because I like the potential of all of them. I've invited them all because I can see that I80 Gold is the leader. Paycore is nipping at their heels. Golden Lake Exploration, I think, could be nipping on that Paycore's heels. And right beside Golden Lake is Timberline, which I'm going to talk about later. So great area, great new drill results. It's got a lot of potential for gold and base metals. And I like this area a lot. The next company I want to talk about, I also did an interview with recently, was Rob Mcewan's company, Mcewan Copper, Mcewan Mining. MUX is their symbol on both the Toronto Stock Exchange and the New York Stock Exchange. They announced that they got a $25 million investment by an arm of Rio Tinto, which is called Newton. And Newton has a technology that they think will apply to Mcewan Mining's copper project called Las Azules in Argentina. And that project already looks like it's a copper mine of the future. With added technology to help with the recovery and maybe bring down their costs more, that is a tremendous situation. There's not a lot of big copper projects. I think Mcewan is in the top 10 of undeveloped advanced projects, and I think they're going to be bought out in the future. Who knows? Maybe Rio Tinto will be the buyer, because Rio Tinto recently tried to buy out the project in Mongolia and got turned down, and then they increased the the bid, they're basically trying to buy copper wherever they can because they understand that copper is in short supply. When you compare it to the needs of the electric car revolution and other needs, copper's needed for everything practically in the modern world, and there's just not enough of it. And that's what makes Mcewan Copper so attractive. I can't remember, it was 35 years of mine life, and they haven't even started going deeper where they think that they might be able to get some higher grade. So in Mcewan mining, you get an interest in the Mcewan Copper, which is going to be a publicly listed company. Plus, you've got the gold projects. And the thing that I think I see in their gold projects is in the Timmins camp, I think Mcewan mining potentially could have a gold Corp type discovery below the where they're already mining. And if Rob Mcewan finds another gold Corp type mineralization, they're in the right kind of rocks, they've got the right kind of geological formations, the right kind of structural story, I think they've got the potential to find another Gold Corp below where they're already mining in Timmins. They do that, and all of a sudden, you've got them firing on all cylinders where they've got exceptional potential with their gold and their copper. I can make the argument right now that Mcewan mining on it at this point in time is trading at a huge discount on their copper project. There was a takeover of a similar copper project, which was half the size of Mcewan. And if you do an apples to apples comparison, Mcewan Copper should be worth about, Mcewan Mining's ownership of the copper asset should make them worth $7 a share. So right now, Mcewan Mining is trading at a huge discount for their potential of their copper asset alone, and you get the gold stuff for less than zero. That's a pretty nice opportunity. Rob Mcewan himself put a lot of money into that $81 million financing. And so I like Mcewan mining a lot. It's the only way to get into Mcewan Copper. And I think that Mcewan Copper is tremendously undervalued in the Mcewan mining umbrella. So take a look at that recent interview I did with Rob Mcewan. It's on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News and at YouTube. And I think you'll find a lot to like about Mcewan mining. Okay, so the next company I want to talk about is York Harbor Metals. York Harbor Metals has a extreme high grade project that I think is giving me the feelings that I got when I was watching Diamond Fields Resources. For example, they just hit 14 meters of 2.86% copper, 6.95% zinc, 20 grams of silver, and 173 grams of cobalt. It's different in that that Diamond Fields Resources was a nickel, copper, cobalt project. This is a copper, zinc, cobalt, and precious metals project, but they're hitting thick intersections of massive sulfides. And that's what makes them similar. It's a massive sulfide deposit. And, they've got several zones, several adits, and the potential to find a lot of copper, zinc, cobalt, silver on this project. And they recently did a big financing. Then they announced the big drill program. I think you're going to see tremendous news flow out of this company. And York Harbor only has a $48 million valuation. If they find anything that looks like Diamond Fields Resources, which they already have, now can it be big, is the next question to ask. But if they show size and grade like they have, this $48 million valuation company is going to be a 10x type performer. And you can't honestly say that about a lot of mining companies, exploration and development, even mining companies out there. Your Carver gives you that kind of opportunity. And from their high of near $1.50, they're nearly at half price. Meanwhile, they're delivering with the drilling, and they've got a lot more drilling to do with a couple drill rigs up there. So your Carver, if you like copper, you like zinc, you like cobalt, you like silver, base metals, that's a good one to look at. YORK is their stock symbol. I think they also trade on the pink sheets in the US under YORKF. They have a listing in Frankfurt under 5DE0. So take a look at them, whether you're in Europe, the United States, or Canada, you've got access to that stock. Next company I want to talk about is Galantas Gold. Galantas Gold was a former sponsor of my website. I have a very high opinion of this company. They recently closed their $6.9 million private placement. They have also recently started production, but I don't think their production is the real big story with this company. I think that will provide them with free cash flow that with this money will give them lots of money for exploration. Why I think the exploration is the key to unlocking this story is that they're also an orogenic gold system story. They have the right kind of aged rock. They've got the right kind of faulting that opens the rock up. They've got secondary faulting that opens up dilation zones. They've already hit dilation zones that have hit extreme high grade in their drilling. The nature of these orogenic systems is they go very deep. And so if you don't want to have a lot of stock out, having free cash flow from mining operations and lots of funding in the bank allows you to go after this depth story. And again, it's a Fosterville lookalike. They have the potential to find swan zones. They're already starting to find their jewelry box type high-grade gold mineralization, and this is close to underground workings, so they can actually go into the underground workings and see what the geology looks like, and also use that to drill deeper. I'm seeing someone like Newfound Gold. They can only see geology from their drilling. And they can't see what they can only see it from drilling. Yet that company has over $1 billion. I think it's over $1 billion valuation. Well, it certainly has been over $1 billion valuation. And Galantas Gold has a valuation in the neighborhood of, let me see here, I'll give you not just the neighborhood, the exact. Their current valuation is $51 million. They have the same kind of a story as New Gold that has a valuation up around $1 billion. These guys have a $51 million valuation. If you want to be looking for 10x type stories that you can invest in that has already hit high-grade gold in their drilling over thick intersections, Galantas Gold is right up your alley. GAL is their stock symbol. I'm just going to pull that one up because Galantas also trades on the AIM market in Europe, in London under GAL. That's also their stock symbol on the Venture Exchange in Canada. They also trade on the OTCQX market under GALKF. So whether you can invest through London, the United States, or Canada, those are your stock symbols, and I think you'd be doing a good job to own some of this stock at its current valuation. Okay, Next up is another former sponsor of my website, which is Endurance Gold. Endurance, they trade on the Venture Exchange under EDG. They trade on the OTC Pinks sheets under ENDGF. And they also trade in Frankfurt under the symbol 3EG. These guys have a high-grade surface discovery of an orogenic gold system that has found lots of high-grade gold in it. And what makes these orogenic systems exciting is when you go deeper, because you're looking for the feeder zone that created this near-surface mineralization. And then you start going deeper because that's where you can find these swan zone type discoveries that Fosterville did. They're now hitting the feeder zones of the system that made its way near surface, that horizon. And they had 3.73 grams over 14 meters. Also included in that was 6 grams over 4 meters. 2.44 grams over 20 meters. Also included in that was 5.99 grams of gold over 4 meters. 7.5, another hole hit 7.58 grams per ton gold over 11 meters. Inside of that was 10 grams over 6 meters. So that's what you're trying. You got a wider feeder zone, and then you got a high grade core inside of that. This is what makes up orogenic gold system mines. And now they're understanding the feeder systems, the vertical element to what they found horizontally. And as they follow that deeper, they have the chance to blow it out of the park when they find extreme high grade. And I think that's exactly what's in their future. EDG's valuation at this point in time is very modest considering what they're looking for. Their valuation is 61 million. A year ago, they were trading at around 20 cents. They've doubled since then. And I think they've got another one with 10x type potential. So do your homework on Endurance Gold. As a past sponsor, I've done a lot of interviews with them. You can find those interviews at my YouTube channel under Rocks and Stocks News at YouTube. And I've done interviews with all of these companies actually that I've talked about today so far. And you can find all of those interviews on the YouTube channel. Another company that recently had news out is also a former sponsor of my website, which is a company called P2 Gold. These are the guys that were involved with making the discovery of the that Pretium found and then built into a mine and subsequently got taken over in the billions of dollars. The geologists that helped find that discovery, and sort of their business guy that helped fund that discovery, are part of the P2 Gold. They're the leadership of the P2 Gold team. Now they're back up in the Golden Triangle, and they're looking for another Pretium type discovery. I've done several interviews with them. Their first set of drill results had 1.59 or 1.49 grams over 44.9 meters starting from surface at their project in Golden Triangle. They're drilling up a storm up there, and I think that these guys are onto something really big. And they find something really big, and their valuation will go through the roof. These guys have done it before. Before they were even with Pretium, they were with a major silver mining company. These guys know what they're doing. They only have a $27 million valuation, and I think that's tremendously undervalued. Again, as I said earlier, when I can find a lot of junior mining companies that are tremendously undervalued, that's a time when you see a turn in the market. And I think that's coming here in between September and the end of the year, and that will lead us into a strong 2023 for the price of gold and other metals. And this group of companies I've talked about already have recently shown drill results that suggest they're very undervalued. So take a look at Pretium. PGLD is their stock symbol. And I think they trade solely on the venture market, TSX venture market under PGLD. Okay, so those are the companies that I follow that have recently had news releases out. I'm going to give you a little special part of this report in that there's a few companies that I expect to be making news. All of these companies will make more news, but there's a couple that, or three that I think have some big news ahead of them. One of those is High Gold Mining. High Gold Mining has a discovery up in Alaska that is part of their Johnson Tract project. At their Johnson Tract project, they have a 1 million ounce resource at a 10 grams, around 10 grams of gold. This is what makes up a high grade mine. But then 4 kilometers from that, they have this DC target that last year they hit right at the end of their season. They hit tremendously high grade over a thick intersection. I think the metal factor, when you calculate the width times the grade, was in the hundreds or even thousands metal factor, but they couldn't get back onto it to drill it because the season was over. Now they started this season drilling, and they've been drilling aggressively into that target. At any time now, they could come out with results. The last time they did that, when they made the discovery, High Gold stock went from very close to where it is, actually. It went from, well, it was around $1. It went up to nearly $2 based on that DC discovery. Now they got a bunch of holes into it. They bottomed out in July at around 70 cents. They're currently trading at 89 cents. And I think when they deliver results from that DC target, that it's going to send this stock much higher. I got to thank them because they are a sponsor of my website. I know the guy who runs the company very well, Darwin Green. I used to work with him. Top-notch geologist, knows what he's doing, has a great project up in Alaska, and has pending results that could come out at any time now. So stay tuned for news out of High Gold. By the way, next week they're at a big mining conference, Beaver Creek, and wouldn't surprise me if we see some results before they speak at the Beaver Creek conference. So stay tuned next week for the potential. I haven't talked to Darwin about this. This is purely my speculation, but I think they could be coming out with results before Beaver Creek, if not shortly thereafter. HIGH is their stock symbol. High Gold, let me pull it up here. High Gold trades on the venture exchange under the symbol HIGH. They also trade on the OTCQX under HGGOF. Go check out some of the recent interviews that I've done with Darwin. You go to YouTube, Rocks and Stocks News, and I think you'll understand why I have such a high opinion of High Gold's exploration up in Alaska. Another company that's a sponsor of my website, I mentioned them earlier, which is Timberline Resources. They're in that same trend in Eureka, Nevada, that I80 Gold, then Paycore, then Golden Lake, then you have Timberline. Actually, Timberline has some ground up nearer as well, but they're all along this Johnson Tract fault that has secondary faulting off of it. Again, this is the kind of conduit that cracks in the earth that allow the fluids to come and make their way up near surface. Timberline has a very large land package in that right kind of rock, right? And actually, that Johnson Tract fault goes through their project as well. Timberline put their last news release out on their drilling at Eureka on June the 21st. So they could be coming out with results any day now. And I think you'll want to take a look at those results. I like where they're drilling. I like the targets that they're drilling. I like where they are on a regional context. And I think Timberline can perform very well once they put some news out. And Timberline's stock valuation currently is only, I'm wasting a little time there so I can get it up, $31 million. Again, these guys are in a tremendous net area, and I really like the potential to deliver. The final company I'm going to talk about is Walker River Resources. They recently became a sponsor of my website, and they've got two big targets on their project. One is their Pikes Peak target, which is the at the heat engine of the gold mineralizing system. I think that brought the gold along the faulting to their Lapon Canyon. And at Lapon Canyon, they're going to start drilling from the top of the Lapon Mountain and follow the high-grade gold that they've found before. I think this is another one that will be delivering a lot of news. I don't want to go into it a great deal because I recently did an interview with them, and you can find that on my YouTube channel as well. My dogs are going crazy, so I'm going to end this show. They want to get into it as well because they're excited about what I'm seeing, I think. On that note, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors, have a great day, take a look at all these companies. I think you got some big winners in those companies. Have a great day.